Hey, Good Friday morning, October 24th, 2024. See that picture? It's Tony Gwynn, Qualcomm Stadium. And in the 1990s, I don't know what year this was, but this is a game I went to, and that's the closest I got to seeing Tony Gwynn in person. My kids are in amongst that crowd. We waved to Tony, he came over, he said hi to us. I'm covering Tony Gwynn's 20-year career from 1982 through 2001. This video, 1990 season, 141 games, 573 at bats, 79 runs scored, 177 hits. That's down from 203 the year before. He has four 200 hit seasons and one season, 197 hits. This year, 177. 29 doubles, 10 triples, 4 homers, 72 RBIs, 17 stolen bases, 44 walks. Here's a significant stat: 309 batting average. This becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, his 8th season in a row over 300. On base, 357, 415 slugging, 238 total bases. His best hitting streak, 12 games, 50 multi-hit games, 29 two-hit games, 19 three-hit games, 2 four-hit games, 13 games, 2 runs scored, 2 games, 3 runs scored, 16 games, 2 RBIs, 2 games, 3 RBIs. So 1990, 141 games. That means he missed 21 games. Still gets 177 hits. If he had played the full season, he'd probably be close to 200 hits. 309 batting average, that's down from 336. His high is 370, and he had a 351 one year. But he keeps a string of 300 batting seasons going. What can we say about the 1990 season? According to Tony Gwynn's standards, a little off. 309. His career batting average is 338. So I don't know what happened that year, because the year before he was up to 336. He had 203 hits. They played 158 games there. So if you give Tony Gwynn a full season, he's a 200 hit guy. If he plays a full 162 games, guaranteed 200 hits. All right, that covers 1990. We're going to continue looking at his career, looking at every single box score, his accomplishments, 8 batting titles, 3,141 career hits, 543 doubles. I consider Tony Gwynn among the top 5 greatest hitters of all time, not the greatest player of all time. That's a distinction that I make. Greatest players of all time, you got to take into account all their stats across the board: runs scored, hits, doubles, triples, homers, obviously, walks, fewer strikeouts, batting average, on base, slugging, total bases. You got to look at the overall accomplishment if you want to be considered among the greatest players of all time. But if you want to focus on just hitting, greatest hitters of all time, just hitting, you got to put Ty Cobb number 1, 366 career batting average. No one is close to that. Hornsby is at 358. Got some other guys up there. Got a guy named Lefty O'Doul, 349. Didn't play long enough. But a guy like Tris Speaker and Ed Delonte, they put in a lot of games. Ed Delante's at 346. He had 1,800 games. Tris Speaker, you got to put him up there. He's got, I believe it was about 2,700 games. Not sure the exact number of games. Cobb had 3,000 games. If you play 3,000 games and you maintain a 366 career batting average, you got to be listed number one. Hornsby, about 2,200 games. See, guys who have a lot of games and they keep their career batting average high, then you got to put them in the top 5 or 10 greatest hitters because of the batting average. So I mentioned Delante's at 346, Speaker's at 345. You got Ruth, 342. Gary Heilman's at 342. Lou Gehrig, 340. Well, you had another guy in there. Billy Hamilton was at 344. Didn't have enough games, so he's about 1,800 games. And then you get close to, we have Nap Lajoie, 338, and then Gwynn, 338. I want to put Gwynn in the top 5. Why? Because of the 19 seasons of 300 or better. That was better than Nap Lajoie in his career. He had some subpar years. Gwynn, his first season, 289. Then he goes 19 in a row, 300. How many guys can lay that claim? Well, Cobb, first year, 240, and then he went 23 in a row, 300 or better. So he's one guy who can make a claim. Ted Williams is another guy. He had a 19-year career, and he had 18 300 batting seasons. One year he batted 254. I don't understand what happened that year. Maybe he was injured. Some other guys, Hornsby had a couple below 300. Ruth had some too. Delante and Speaker, they had some seasons below 200. But how about Gwynn? 19 for 20. And he's the only guy that I could find that came the closest for going 20 for 20, 300 or better. If his first season, if he had batted 300, he would have had a perfect 300 or better career. Every season playing 300 or better. I tried to find someone who went every season over 300. I found one guy, Dave Orr. Have you heard of him? He was in the 1800s, 1880s and 90s, way back when. Every year he played, he batted over 300. But the caveat is this. It was only 8 years. So it's not enough, right? Obviously, it's not enough. But for 8 straight years, he went over 300, and then he stopped playing. He's the only guy that finished his career in baseball over 300 every season he played, but it's only 8 years. How about Gwynn's 20 years? And he goes 19 for 20. I marvel at that. I really do. All right, that covers 1990. We're going to get into 1991, and we're going to continue going until 2001. Let's see how Gwynn does every year. Okay? Talk to you later. I'm out.